close.
Yeah, it's pretty close.
There we go. Okay, if I could have all of your attention, first thing I'd like to do is introduce our new member, Whitney Hall. Welcome to the Metropolitan Area Planning Commission. Carla, if you would, call roll, please.
Mark Arnold.
Here.
Whitney Hall. Here. Cody Haney.
Here.
Marvin Kusick.
Here.
Eddie Mack. Here. Cole Ream.
Here.
Don Roberts. Here. Don Rhodes. Jim Strait.
Here.
That's quorum.
We have a quorum, so I hereby call this meeting to order. The first item on the agenda is to consider approval of the minutes of the regular Metropolitan Area Planning Commission meeting of February the 22nd, 2016. Everybody's had a chance to look at those.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve, and I have a second. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That motion carries.
We did have one item removed from the agenda, if you want to mention that.
I will mention that. Item number 7.1 has been removed from the agenda. The applicant decided to pull that. Chris? The next item is zoning. 4.1 is to consider a rezoning for properties situated in the southwest of Section 6, Township 22 North, Range 5 west of the Indian Meridian, Garfield County, Oklahoma, located at the northeast corner of 66th Street and Chestnut Avenue from A Agriculture District to I-3 Industrial Heavy District. Chris?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Planning Commissioners, the star marks the spot there just north of Garrett on 66. This is on the east part of our town. This next shot is an aerial photo. The site is outlined in yellow. They selected this site because of the railroad there. It's their intent to build a spur off of that railroad line. And it is on the east side of 66th Street, a half a mile north of Garrett and exactly a half a mile south of Willow. What they're doing there is a logistics center for wind turbine equipment. They are currently putting equipment there as we speak and have for the last couple of weeks. They got a permit from engineering to do that. The low use does not require that public water and sewer be made available to this site. They will handle that with private water well, private septic. And are there any other questions that I can answer for you? We do have 2 people that are signed up for this, if there are no questions of staff.
We'll take the people that signed up.
Brent Kissling.
Good evening, everybody. Brent Kissling with the Enid Regional Development Alliance, and I will be very brief. I just wanted to be able to come forward this evening and say thank you to Transportation Partners and Logistics for their investment and potential investment in our community. The owner of the company, one of the owners, Billy Brenton, is here with us this evening. If there's any questions that anybody has, this particular company, what they do, their business is to offload product from rail and put it onto trucks and move it into an area. The particular contract that they're working on in this area deals with wind energy at this point. It could expand beyond that into some other products. But this is a very unique site for what we would have in northwest Oklahoma and also this entire region. And it's very exciting that they have chosen Enid for their investment. I went 2 weeks ago today, drove up to Garden City, Kansas to look at their other facility that they have. They actually have one in Garden City and one in Casper, Wyoming. The one in Garden City is a beautiful facility. It is full of activity. A lot of product is being stored there. A lot is being offloaded as well. I also met with some of their community leadership, especially their economic development folks, and everything that they've ever promised in that community, they've backed up and have been a great corporate citizen up there. So we welcome them to our community, and if you guys have any questions of me throughout the process, please let me know. Thank you. Yes, sir.
How long do you think they'll be around?
Well, I'm hoping that they'll be around for decades and decades to come, is my hope. At this point, they're operating under a temporary permit. for the next, I think, 60 days. But yeah, I would hope that they would be here for decades to come.
Are we gonna do any manufacturing there, or?
At this point, their plan is to offload product and be able to move it out into the field. My hope long-term is that once you have a facility like that in place, that does lead to final assembly plants and further processing. We can offload a lot of product in this community, but most of it's raw commodity, wheat, frac sand, that kind of thing, bulk commodities. What they're focused on is components, such as the wind blades and nacelles, towers, those types of things. Yes, Don?
How close on that? Is this the same rail line that the proposed canola plant was on, and how close was it?
Yes, in fact, you'll notice on the map, the I-3 to the north, that was where the canola plant was going to be. I like to say as a community, it's important to fail forward, and we had gone through all of the mental gymnastics prepared for a $200 million canola plant just a couple hundred yards from where they're locating. And so we had already begun negotiations with BNSF. They already knew that they had capacity on that line to put a couple of switches in and to offload product. And the fact that we've already been through the rezoning process in this region, I think, has certainly been helpful. Thank you all very much.
Stacy Robinson.
I own the property just south of the road of this site, and then I live right across 412 south of there at 66th Street and Market. And I know this is already a done deal, so I just wanted to voice my concerns before anything happened and I hadn't said anything. Drainage is number one that I'm worried about. When they've come in, they're coming in on the west side of the property and they just filled in the ditch and they're running across it, so no culvert, no nothing. I'm afraid that it's gonna run down, and we've got a creek in the west, or the east 80 there that comes through, so I'm afraid that it's gonna cause washing and this and that. So I just wanted to, and they've already put up one light there that kind of shines, and it's a bright light, and I'm sure there's more to come. The noise, the dust, it hasn't been an issue. I'm just trying to get things out there in case, because I don't know how much more. It's filling up pretty significantly. There's the propellers, the pillars for the wind turbines. They're backing traffic up way past 66th Street. And the intersection is getting torn up already. I know that's a state highway, and I know I think they've promised to redo that highway on up past the railroad track, 66th Street. Like I say, just voicing some concerns. Don't know if they're valid. My main thing is the drainage, since I do own the property just south of there.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
One other gentleman like to speak. Jerry?
My name is Jerry Schmidt, and I live on 7217 Breckenridge Road, but I own the property to the east of this property. I have 55 acres to the east of it, and then I also own a quarter section diagonally to the northwest of the property. That's my reason for being here. I guess in addition to that, my primary reason for being here is that I don't know if this facility is going to do anything to enhance the value of my property. To the contrary, I think it'll probably devalue my property. My property is farm property. It's not commercial use property, but I was concerned a little bit. I assume that if the zoning changes on this, that the zoning will be forever. Once it's zoned I-3, it'll be I-3 forever. So when these people come and go, then it's I-3, and then we can have a factory out there. So it's not just for what's going on today, but what could go on down the road as far as having a factory next to your property, and I don't think a lot of you people would like that to happen. But I understand that it's a difficult decision, and I also understand that the people that own the property, I believe in property rights, and they have the right to sell it. They have the right to do whatever they want with it. I'm not sitting here saying that, you know, I can dictate what they or you can do with their property. I'm just letting you know what my concerns are about the property. Another thing that I'm a little bit concerned about is the fact that it's an emergency. Maybe it's, someone told me, this is not my quote, but somebody told me that emergencies are what arise out of lack of planning on the part of other people. I had a person tell me one time when I was asking him to do something in a hurry, he said, you know, I'm not making your lack of planning my emergency, but this apparently is an emergency for the city and for these people to get the towers in. I'm also a little concerned from the standpoint that we have an industrial park already zoned, in place, 54th Street's available to it. And I know there may be other reasons that they like this property better, but that's in my mind that other property is available. Another thing that really kind of upset me, and you know, I had a company come by the other day. He's going to put a water line down the grader ditch by some of my property, and just wanted to let me know what was going on. And I thought, you know, these people are my kind of people. They're going to be out digging in my grader ditch, and they just wanted to let me know what was going on. These people are going to put a plant next to me, and nobody's ever contacted me until I get the notice from the city that they're going to rezone it. And, you know, another thing that kind of got my attention, and I don't know Mr. Orr, but I'm going to read you the March 9th article out of the Enid Morning News. Orr said his company is holding contracts that need to be fulfilled in Enid, and it's the company's intent to fulfill them. He said if the company leaves, it will not be because they wanted to leave, but because of pushback from the community. Now, I hope you people don't think this is pushback. But, you know, his success in this town, and we need the business, and we want people to come in, but it's almost like if this deal doesn't work, it's because of me and Bill and somebody else standing up there. We're not pushing back, because I'm just telling you that I own property next to it. I don't think it's a great deal for me, and maybe it's a great deal for the city of Enid. I understand that. You guys got the decision to reach it. Thanks for the opportunity to visit with you.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Chairman, that's all that's signed up on this item.
Commissioners, are there any other questions that we need to address?
Well, I'd like for whomever to kind of address the concerns of, I mean, the bar ditch, the lighting. I mean, that is kind of a, I mean, it is a concern. Drainage in this part of the world is not real good no matter what, and I mean, those are big trucks, and they have a lot of weight. And I mean, if we do agree to it, I mean, there does need to be some upfront stuff done to help the area with issues that are gonna come. I mean, I work at Coke, so I see the effects of
I can
major
address
equipment
the
running
drainage
over.
issue.
Sorry?
I can address the drainage issue. Most of the site that's been developed drains to the east and to the tributary that then drains south and across those property lines to the south, and that's a natural drainage. As part of their temporary permit, they have to put in erosion control measures and provide protection for that. To go to a permanent permit, they would have to mitigate their impact from discharge from that site, which typically means, you know, detaining water on site, slowing it down to the historical rate of discharge, so that it would keep from flooding downstream property owners. They may have, they'll have to maintain the borrow ditch on the roadway, but most of this site has been graded to drain to the east and to the natural drainage to the east. So they have got erosion control protection in measures, And if they want to go from a temporary to a permanent permit, they'll have to mitigate the impact, which most likely is on-site detention, and they're well aware of that.
I mean, the lighting situation, I mean, we want them to be good neighbors. Have you guys got with the neighbors? Because I know you're gonna have big lights. I mean, lighting is annoying. The house has been there for years, and they're not gonna be able to move their house because you put a light somewhere.
Thank you. My name is Billy Brenton. Today, we took out, we had some light plants in there that are pretty bright. Today, we installed a power pole with just one street light on it, and that's all that will be on the property as far as power goes. And we do have culverts in. The city engineer we submitted our engineer drawings to them, and we followed all their guidelines, and we did install culverts into the driveway. There's a couple gas lines that were in there. We had to bring them up to, I think, 18 inches of compact gravel, so we took care of all of the gas lines as well in the area.
I got a question. So what is the taxable economic benefit of this company? I mean, there's offload and unloading. They're not buying or selling anything.
I don't know your tax rates here. That's up to my accountants. I really don't know any of that. As far as the property tax, I assume comes right to the city since I am city. It's really a tax question for my accountant. I really couldn't tell you. I know what I pay in Kansas. It's an awful lot of money just for offloading. We actually only own the 50 acres up there. Out of the 218, we lease the rest.
I'll step in and add on to what Mr. Brenton was saying. First of all, I think you've employed 10 employees so far? 15 employees at the site so far. I will tell you, whenever I visited Garden City, it was like ants out there. There was a lot of people because there's typically trucks coming in and out, product coming in and out, crane operators, even though they're not necessarily employees of TP&L. They could be of other companies that are offloading product at the site. But the big thing for us as a community, more than anything else, is having this infrastructure in place in our community. There's nothing else like this in our entire region. And the companies that follow something like this could be very beneficial for us. So even though we are so glad that they're making this investment in our community, we think it could grow into other things that would be attracted to that infrastructure. I was talking with Gerald a little bit earlier that you can have this brilliant idea for putting in track, and you can even have the money to put it in, but until you actually go through a process with the state of Oklahoma, with, in this case, particularly BNSF, which is probably more bureaucracy than working with the federal government, to get all of that done and have the infrastructure in place, that's whenever that becomes a very valuable asset for your community. And the fact that they're going through that in our community is a huge benefit.
How much of this area is in industrial versus agricultural now?
Well, the 400 acres to the north would be industrial, and yeah, the other three sides would be agricultural. That's true.
Have you seen the site at El Reno?
The UP site, I've not. Have you been down there?
Yeah. You can see it by the overpass if anybody's going to El Reno. You go over the overpass, it's for on the highway, along the railroad through there, it's stretched for a mile through there where they unload and offload.
Yeah, and the BN has a transload facility over around Avard also, if you've seen that before, but most of that's aggregate. I think maybe they offload some pipe over there as well, but not near what we were discussing here.
So this is going to be a long-term facility, not short-term?
I would certainly hope so. Just want to hear about 66th Street. We are continuing to work with TP&L on options on 66th Street. Also working with the state of Oklahoma, we've had conversations with Mike Patterson, who's head of Oklahoma Department of Transportation. They are excited to participate with us on this as well. Knowing definitively what we're going to do at this point, I don't know what that is, but we will have that finalized between now and the time that they would have their permanent permit.
Pardon me, sir. A lot of these questions will have to be addressed later. Right now, the only thing that we're looking at basically is rezoning. This will have to come back up later on. If people have more questions, there'll be, Chris, help me out here a little bit. I'm sure there's going to be a number of other things that's going to be up in front of the board.
It's a permitting process that has to be complete. They just have a temporary process now. They're going to have to apply for a permanent process. At that point, we'll look at the requirements for the road, the stormwater, and we'll ensure and require them to do whatever's required to mitigate that impact.
Drainage plan.
Yes, and they will have to contribute to improving that road in some form or fashion. We're still working to figure out what those numbers are in conjunction with what Brent said, an application to ODOT to ask for some industrial access road money, and then whatever other sources we can tap into.
Thank you.
Nice thing is it's not a nice road. I go down that road I go down it about every day, and this will give us a really good reason, I think, to focus on that road.
Thank you, sir. Any other questions for anybody? Commissioners? Motion?
Make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
I have a motion to approve in a second. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That motion's unanimous. Item number 6.1 is to consider approval of the preliminary plat of lots 29, 30, 31, 32 of Pheasant Run Golf Community. Chris.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We've moved to the west part of our town. It's in the Pheasant Run Golf Community. Another 55 lots are being platted to add to our housing. It's outlined, the area around the golf course is outlined in yellow. The next slide will show you the preliminary plat. There is the road system and the lots. The next slide shows their water layout. It's in the road right-of-way. And also the sanitary sewer is in the road right-of-way as well. This next slide shows how their drainage is going to be handled, and it's all a part of the Pheasant Run Golf Course that was designed to take care of the stormwater as the plats progressed. And my last slide is a sidewalk layout in conjunction with the paving. It meets all of our subdivision regulations. It's recommended for approval.
Thank you, Chris. Any questions for Chris? Motions?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Have a second. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? And that motion carries unanimously. I think I misread that. This was not used by review, but this was plats. And this will be 6.2, consider approval of a final plat for the Bird subdivision located at the southwest corner of Roop Avenue and Boomer Road.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We're in the county now, and this next slide, the yellow box shows the area being platted. This next slide shows the plat. There, I'm going to back up. In the north part of the property, there is a housing there that'll remain on that north lot. The plat then will have 3 more lots that will front onto Boomer. There is no rural water. It'll be private water. There is no public sanitary sewer. It'll be private sewer. It's in the county. It's recommended for approval. Okay, I did not know that. Excuse me, we do have rural water.
Commissioners, motions? You have a motion?
I'm gonna make a motion. Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve item 6.2. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? And that motion carries unanimously. As I mentioned before, block split number 7 has been pulled. So with that being said, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Yes.
And do I have a second? All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Those opposed? We're adjourned.
Thank you.
They can stay here.